Dear learners, welcome you all to the Department of Social Studies and the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences at the Open University of Sri Lanka. This course, SSU 2132 Health Economics, is offered under Level 4 of the BA degree in Social Sciences, which is delivered to you as an interactive multimedia course. I am Achintya Koswatha, a lecturer in Department of Social Studies. Joining with me today is Mr. LDI Wijetunga, a senior member of the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, and Ms. Samanthi Bandara, a research officer from the Institute of Policy Studies. So, in the previous 3 sessions, we were discussing about the basic concepts of economics. First, we discussed the limited resources, unlimited wants, choices, opportunity cost, and resource scarcity. And we used the graphical representation of production possibility curves as well. Then we moved to the demand and supply concepts. There we drew the demand schedule, demand graph, and the demand function. And also for the supply as well, we derived the demand supply curve, supply schedule, and the supply function. Today we are moving to the market equilibrium. Market equilibrium is the place where buyers and sellers are meeting. If not, the demand and supply meets. Where this demand equals to the supply is the market equilibrium. I would like to get further explanation from Mr. Wijetunga about this market equilibrium.
Thank you, Achinta. Actually, in this session, Achinta, we bring 2 sides of market together to show how prices and quantity are determined. Because these 2 actors we are discussing separately. But in the market, or practically, these 2 actors should work together. And unless that, you can't find the common prices or common commodity and so forth. So this exercise would help us to understand that segment. Now, in your brief presentation, you said market equilibrium. What does that mean? When quantity of product demanded equals to quantity supply at the prevailing market price, this is called market equilibrium. That means these both actors must come some common agreement with the common market price. That means both parties would prefer to the one particular price. Then you will get a exchange of goods and services. That is the nature of the market equilibrium. Now, this scenario, that is a market equilibrium scenario, can be expressed through the diagram. Previously, we are talking about the separate that. Now, look at these prices at the first column. Say we can talk about the paddy market. Say prices per bushel. Say starting from 50 rupees, 40 rupees, 30 rupees, 20 rupees, 10 rupees. Because in the market, these prices are going up and down. And sellers and consumers also respond according to that one also. For example, if you think about the supplier side, when prices is 50, that he or she supply 12,000 because in the market prices are very high that particular segment. But if you look at the consumer side, they prefer only 4,000 rupees because prices are very high. But when prices are going down, say 40, 30, 20 and say 10 in this diagram, suppliers are a bit reluctant to supply because prices are very low. For example, when you have a 10 rupees, they supply only 4,000. But if you look at the consumer point of view, for consumer it's very cheap. Therefore, they look at the market and they demand more, in this case 12,000. That is one explanation of this diagram. But if you go to the last column of this one, last column will give a lot of information, Achinta, with regard to the market. Now, look at this 8,000. 8,000 mean last column, but difference between supply and demand. So that here we have surplus. That means we have more and more supply compared to the demand. And 4,000 also, it's a surplus because at that moment supply is greater than demand. But look at this 30 rupees. At the 30 rupees, both parties agree. That is, both are agreeing. One group asks 8,000, other group also 8,000. So there's no surplus, neither negative one. Now, for example, if you go further down, Now here, according to this one, minus 44,000. What does that mean? Here, demand is greater than supply. So that's why we have a minus. Or if you go the further down, that is a 10 rupees, 12,000 consumer demand, but 4,000 from the supply side. So there is a minus 8,000. So neither upside or low side don't agree each other. So the one group push the prices. One group want to the lower prices, other group want to the high prices. But market equilibrium occur when prices common. That means 30 rupees. We call it 30 rupees is the equilibrium price. 8,000 is the equilibrium quantity. So in other words, we can say in this diagram, price that match the quantity supply and quantity demand is the equilibrium price. Now, for example, if you look at this diagram, previously we are talking about the demand and supply separately. But in the practical sense, we can't talk about the separately. For our convenience, we discuss the separately. But if you put these two curves together, here we can find the common price, that is a 30 rupees. At the 30 rupees, we call it price equilibrium price. That means both parties agree each other. In addition to that, if you go to the quantity bought and sold at the price is the equilibrium quantity. That means 8,000. So at the 3,030 rupees, both parties agree the 8,000. That is called equilibrium quantity. That's the nature of the equilibrium condition in the market.
Okay, it's indeed a clear explanation. So this equilibrium point is a constant point where the demand and supply equals. But in reality, this demand is not a constant because it is influenced by various factors. As we discussed, income level, taste, expectations and the other factors, and also the supply as the same, because the supply is influenced by the technology and the factor prices like that. So are there any possibilities to change the supply and demand in this equilibrium, from this equilibrium point?
Yes, Achinta. Now prices in the market are not static. It is a dynamic, it changes, it fluctuates. Now you may have heard that international prices going up and down, domestic prices and agriculture prices going down. So you can't talk about the one particularly static prices. Therefore, this price condition of the price are influenced by change of supply and demand condition. Now, for example, to simplification, let us discuss this way. First, determine whether influence shift to the demand and supply curve. Now, second, determine whether curve that is affected shift to the rightward or shift or leftward. So, if it's not clear, let us talk about this diagram. Diagram is very clear. Now, here, Achinta, we assume supply curve is constant. Suppose demand change, as we discussed that one from D1 to D2 due to, say, suppose my income is going up, say 10 rupees, then I would prefer to buy more commodity. That's why prices, that's why quantity is going down. In other words, now we have new prices. Earlier we have PO, now we have P1. Not only new equilibrium, but we also have a new quantity equilibrium also. That is the nature of the shifting, that is the implication, shifting the demand curve to the right side because of the income. But if you look at this one, the right side curve, suppose my income, say, going down, say 10%, then I am not able to buy same thing which was buying in the past. So as a result of that, now in the market we have a new price, that is the PO and Q1 price, that is the new equilibrium. That is, those are the implications with regard to the change in demand. Not only that, if you look at the supply side also, here we assume, say D is constant. Suppose supplier would prefer to supply more due to suppose that particular company use latest technology. Because of the latest technology, he could be able to supply more. As a result of this curve shift to right side. As a result of that, here we can find the new equilibrium prices and new equilibrium quantity like PO and Q1. Similarly, if you go to the right diagram, right side diagram, suppose I am using, suppose my input prices are very high at the moment. Say labor cost is suppose very high, material which I am using very high. As a result of I am not able to produce because my cost of production would be very high. Then I am reluctant to produce more. As a result, this curve would shift to the left side. That is we call it change in supply 1. So in other words, Achinta, we can talk more and more about this condition. For example, we summarize the 4 scenarios in the market. In some days, demand increase, supply also increase simultaneously. What are the implications of the prices? Then we can talk about the supply increase, demand decrease. We don't know, because sometimes say supply would prefer to put more supply. At the same time, say a consumer, because of the higher prices, low one. So that is a second scenario. In addition to that, there will be a third scenario also. Say supply decrease, demand increase also. And the fourth scenario, supply decrease, demand decrease also. So as a result of that, you can find the different implication about the price equilibrium and quantity equilibrium. Now these days you can find sometimes we can't predict the future prices. Very difficult because of this operation. Operation is very dynamic. Sometimes we can't predict these future prices because future prices depend on not just demand and supply. It occur various factors. Now, for example, we are talking about, when you're talking about the demand, other factors, there are so many factors are there. One can influence the entire market, even supply is out there. Now, for example, these days, technology coming globally. The technology completely changed the company scenario about the supply side. Then as a result of that, it will influence the prices. So very difficult to talk about the one particular price equilibrium because of these 4 scenarios.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Wijayatunga, for sharing your deep knowledge with us. So this market equilibrium is not efficient always, because that is determined by demand and supply factors, because the suppliers are always profit oriented and the consumers are always utility oriented. So there are some market failures. So in these failures, government is intervening. So we can identify 2 main interventions of government as price controls. So ceiling prices and price floors are these 2. I would like to discuss this in more detail with Mr. Wijayatunga.
Yes, Achinta. Now, previously we are talking about the market without government intervention. Why we expect government to intervene? Why don't allow the market to decide what to produce, how to produce, to whom to produce? The question is this equilibrium price. Some people might complain these prices are not adequate to their commodities. Some people now, for example, consumer complain prices are very high. Producers say prices are very low. Now there must be another party should intervene and rectify this situation. That's why the term called price control. Up to this level, we were not talking about the control. We allow the market to operate. In terms of price and quantity. But that is not efficient. That's why we expect some other parties to intervene. So intervention could be occur through 2 ways. One called price ceilings and price floor. What does this mean? Now, price ceilings establish maximum price that can be charged for good, service or resources. Normally, price ceilings government put below the market equilibrium point. Now, for example, rent. Suppose rent prices are very high, then government intervene, put the prices are below the market level. Or fuel prices. If fuel prices equilibrium point is very high, then government intervene, prices lower situation. Something like this. Now look at this diagram. Now, this very familiar diagram. Here we have demand curve, supply curve, price equilibrium, quantity equilibrium, so forth. Now the question is government intervention. Government justify this intervention because the prices which are available in the market are not affordable for some group. As a result, government put some prices which is below the equilibrium point. We call it price ceilings. Now, Look at this price ceiling. When prices below the market equilibrium, these prices are lower than equilibrium price. When prices are lower than equilibrium price, definitely consumer will demand more, and producer, what happened? Producer reduce their production. As a result, what will happen? Then we have higher demand compared to supply. As a result, then it creates a shortage. We call it because it's not available. Market isn't, because there's a high demand compared to supply. That is the implication of price ceiling. Now, price floor. What does that mean? Price floor describes minimum price that can legally be charged. Good example, agricultural prices. Now, in our country, farmers have been complaining over the years that price which are available in the market not adequate for them to cover their cost of production. Therefore, our government annually adjust the prices. Now, good prices of paddy prices and minimum wage prices. So, if you look at this familiar diagram again, now we have put the prices above the equilibrium price. When above the equilibrium prices, automatically, according to our definition, supplier would prefer this higher price because that prices is higher than equilibrium price. As a result, that one we have more supply compared to demand, because it's a very high prices. Consumer point of view, he or she compared the earlier prices, very high prices. So its demand is very low. In other words, at this moment, supply is greater than demand. In other words, this market creates surplus, that particular commodity. Those are the two implications with regard to the price ceiling and floor when we talk about the government intervention in the market.
Okay, that comparison is very clear, Mr. Wijetunga. Thank you for that. So, I would like to turn to Ms. Samanthi, whether this equilibrium model is applicable to health economics. Do you think it is applicable?
Ajantya, let me explain further. Equilibrium you observed in the healthcare, in the conventional market does not exist in the healthcare market as it is. Because, Sachintya, I explained the reason. The behavior of both parties are significantly different from the conventional market. Now we will take an example and see how both parties behave in the healthcare market. The consumers, so-called patients. Patients, they don't have the freedom to determine what they want. Just think, if you got a chest pain, what you should do? You should visit a doctor. Then, doctor asks some information from you. You explain what you have, what is the ailment you got. Then, doctor prescribe, he decide and prescribe some medication. So, in this context, patients, he or she does not have the freedom to demand what he or she needs. Just doctor describe what he or she wants. So, you observed a specific relationship between doctors and the patients. This is called agency relationship. We will go back to the conventional market theory. Now you know the demand for vegetables come from consumers. Consumers will decide what he or she needs in what quantity. But in the healthcare market, the consumers don't have the freedom to choose what he or she needs. So, the demand comes from the suppliers. This situation we call supply-induced demand. So, we will learn further about health economics in the next sessions. What are the techniques and what are the major concepts in health economics. Achintya?
Okay, thank you, Samanthi. That concludes a remarkable, memorable, and knowledgeable session for demand, supply, equilibrium, and its applicability in health economics. So, up to this point, we have discussed the basic economic concepts and demand, supply, and the equilibrium and government intervention. So, I think we have already completed all the basic economic concepts. So, we can start health economic concepts by the next session. So, and I promise you all that we will enter into session 5, that's market failures, with more innovative ideas to nourish your mind. Thank you.